Now I know you're probably thinking, why am I talking about dating if I'm a married man? But I believe that my marriage is strong because I continue to date my wife. But you need to know how to make the date the best it can possibly be. If you're interested in learning just that, stick around. Fellas, welcome back. It's Robert, your everyday gentleman. Like I said, today we're going over my tips for an unforgettable date night. Now, dates are an important part of courtship, and it really doesn't matter to me if you're already in a relationship or you're looking to get into one. If you're in a relationship, dating helps to get to know your potential partner. And if you're in a relationship already, then dating helps to keep those flames of love going strong. But again, you need to know how to have the best chance for a successful date. Now, you may not know this, but I used to be married, and unfortunately that relationship ended in divorce. I may get into more details about that in the future, but for now, I just want you to know that getting back into the dating game after years of being married wasn't easy. But just like anything, being prepared sets you up for your best chance of success. Now, a couple quick notes about this video. One, I'm assuming you already have a date set up, so I'm not gonna go into the details of how to ask a girl out or anything like that. If you're interested in something like that, let me know and I might work up additional video for that. And number two, this video is not about how to use a date to get into the sack or to hook up with as many girls as possible. I'm beyond that stage in my life, so this video is more about dating and looking for a potential long-term relationship. Now, if you're new to my channel, I want to thank you for clicking on this video. Again, my name is Robert. Here, I talk about everything to do with men's lifestyle, whether it's fashion, grooming, fragrances, fitness, whiskey, cigars, really anything that I feel encompasses being a man in today's age. I invite you to subscribe and engage in the comments down below. And to my returning subscribers, I want to thank you for your continued support. And with that, let's jump into it. Now, the first thing we're going to touch on is making sure you're dressing appropriately for your date. Now, when it comes to dressing for your date, I wouldn't venture too far from what your typical day-to-day attire is. In other words, if you're a t-shirt and jeans guy, I wouldn't swap that for a suit for a normal date. Stick to what you're used to, but I would still recommend elevating it a little bit, especially for your first date. For example, if you're a t-shirt and jeans guy, opt for a nice button down, some dark denim, maybe some boots, as opposed to your t-shirt, light wash jeans and sneakers. Now, if you're a dapper guy, I'd go the opposite way. Ditch the tie, maybe undo an extra button, possibly even lose the jacket. It's gonna give you a nice, relaxed, laid-back look that's gonna be perfect for a date. Now, the second thing I wanna talk about is proper grooming. Now, your date probably doesn't want you to look like you spent hours in front of a mirror trying to get ready. On the flip side, they definitely don't want you looking like you just woke up and walked into the date. So make sure that your grooming is on point. Now, I've already got a couple videos that I've worked up in regards to my personal grooming routine. If you're interested in checking those out, I'll link them up here and down in the description. And when you have a chance, go ahead and check those out. Now, of course, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're clean, your hair is styled, your beard is trimmed and shaved, depending on whatever your facial hairstyle is. Your nails are trimmed. I mean, you get the picture. All the basics that are gonna show your date that they're important to you and that you wanna look good for them. Now, if you follow me on Instagram and you're not new to my channel, then you know that when it comes to dates, I'm gonna talk about fragrances. Now, there's literally thousands of fragrances available on the market. And there's so many of them because each one of them has their specific scenario and occasion that they're used for. Now, when it comes to dates, your scent should not be loud and obnoxious. Instead, opt for a more sexy and inviting scent that your date's gonna discover when they're up close to you. An overbearing scent is gonna push your date away, while a more seductive scent is gonna entice them to get a little bit closer. Now, a few of my favorite scents to wear on a date are CH Men, Acqua di Gio Profumo, Dolce & Gabbana's The One, Replica's By the Fireplace, and of course, you can't forget the classic Yves Saint Laurent's La Nuit de l'Homme. Applying a couple quick sprays to your neck is gonna be enough to have your date ready to cuddle up. Now, when it comes to what to do on your date, it's always a good idea to do something fun. Although going out to dinner is always a great option, going out and doing some kind of interactive and fun activity makes for a much more memorable evening. And it gives you an opportunity to talk a little easier than during a meal. You'll get to see if they're competitive, if they're outgoing, if they're silly. It really gives you a good feel for what their personality might be. Some ideas you might want to try are going out bowling, maybe to an arcade, a driving range, a carnival, Basically anything that's going to allow you to do something fun together and still be able to talk without dealing with a mouthful of food. Now my wife and I, we frequently do dinner on our dates. And if this is an option that you're going to go with, then I suggest you get to know the menu. Pull up the restaurant's website, look up Yelp for reviews and suggestions that people might have on what's good at the restaurant. Your date may ask for your help or your opinion on what's good or what they might want to order, and you don't want to just look at them with a blank stare. You can ask your date what they usually like when they go out to eat, and if you've already familiarized yourself with the menu, then you can kind of use that to figure out what they might like and offer that as a suggestion. Another option is to ask the server what they recommend based on your date's preferences. But I would recommend that you initiate this conversation with the server. I wouldn't put it on your date to ask for this assistance, and I definitely wouldn't order for them unless they ask you to. Now my next tip is to ask questions, and as suggested by my wife, listen attentively. Like I said earlier, dating is an opportunity to interact with each other. And there's no better way to get to know somebody than to talk and to ask them questions. But when they're speaking, you gotta make sure you're paying attention, listening, and using that information to build on the conversation. Show genuine interest and comment on what they're saying. Ask follow-up questions, but also respect their privacy and make sure you're not making it feel like an interrogation. You're gonna wanna use open-ended questions, ask them about their interests, experiences, hobbies. Don't make the conversation about yourself, and definitely do not brag. And another key tip from my wife, make sure you put that phone away. Now this next tip is extremely important, and missing this one could kill your date from the get-go. You wanna make sure you're on time. Now it doesn't matter if you're going to a date or if you're going to a business meeting, showing up late is never a good look. It just shows a lack of responsibility, and it almost gives an impression that the occasion isn't important enough for you to show up on time for. Now of course life happens, and there's certain times where being late is just gonna happen despite the best planning. If this is ever the case, make sure you're communicating with your date as to what's going on, what your estimated time of arrival might be, and make sure that that time is still okay with them. But always make an effort to show up on time. And if you're like me and you follow the rule that being on time means being 15 minutes early, being late shouldn't really be an issue for you. Now my last tip, and this should really go without saying, especially on my channel, be a gentleman. Make sure you're being polite, not just to your date, but to everyone you're interacting with. The server, the valet driver, it doesn't matter. Make sure you're saying please and thank you. I can't tell you how many times I hear, or should I say I don't hear, people using those simple words. Open doors, pull out chairs, offer your coat, ask your date if they're comfortable, lead your date either by holding their hand or by placing your hand on the lower part of their back. Just make sure you're not going too low. And of course, be ready to pay the bill. But if your date is insistent on splitting it, also be open to that. Now that's pretty much it as far as my tips for a successful date. I know there's a lot here that I talked about, but ultimately what it comes down to, just make sure you're having fun and be yourself. There's no point in trying to pretend to be somebody that you're not with somebody that you're looking to be in a relationship with. Ultimately that's gonna come out, and if that's not who they're looking for or that's not who you wanna be, then there's no point in showing that from the very beginning. Be yourself, and the right person that you're meant to be with is gonna come along for you. Now as always, if you found value in this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. Also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch all future videos from this channel. And remember, being a gentleman isn't something you just do on a date, it's an everyday thing. Take it easy, fellas.
We bop and hippity hop, I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom.